This is Ron Van Beek. He's a veteran from the Vietnam War era. He's an Army veteran, and I ran into him here at the Turning Point event in Detroit, Michigan, and we are speaking to the veterans. We're trying to mobilize the veterans, but we also want to memorialize the veterans and remember with a fight that they had. So Ron, you said you wanted to share a story with me, so go ahead.
Yes. God promised me before I went to Vietnam. I was milking cows in Iowa, and I got this strange draft notice in the mail that Uncle Sam wanted me to go to Vietnam and shoot communists, which very shortly I was, going from 17 below zero, 17 inches of snow, to 100 degrees humidity. They put me in a helicopter and dumped me as far north as you could go north. By the DMZ, we could see the flag of Communist North Vietnam waving 2 miles away. Their 5,000 were in and around the base of that flag, all of them wanting us dead for the $10,000 reward they would get for each head they brought in. Can't tell you all 365 miracles that God did to perform what he said out of Psalm 118, verse 17, you shall not die, but live and declare the works of God. And he stood before me every time the bullets flew that were intended for me, and he absorbed every bullet that was intended for me. One story I'll tell you, because the only one I have a picture of the 365, it was November 13, 1969. I'm with my 300 men on Hill 162, just south of the DMZ. That night at 2 o'clock, the enemy hit us with a human wave attack, 5,000 strong, against our 300, fully intending to wipe us off the face of the earth. They hit us at 2 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, we're in deep, deep trouble. We'd lost over 50 casualties by this time. Our captain, most of our officers were killed early in the battle. They penetrated into our perimeter twice, and we beat them back hand to hand. But now we're running out of bullets. There was 1 million bullets shot that night on that hill when the 5th helicopter was shot down, trying to provide us with bullets. All hope failed. We were going to live for another minute, except the enemy didn't know God's promise out of Psalm 118, verse 17. And before I could say, Lord, how will I survive this for another minute, he went to work, and that battlefield, as I said, 1 million bullets were shot there. The noise was just breaking your eardrums. Suddenly it went so quiet you could hear a pin drop, because God made a mighty, mighty, mighty light brighter than the sun shine in the sky that lit the whole battlefield up like it was daylight. Everybody's position was revealed, friend and foe. Everybody's night vision was shot, looking up into this bright sun, trying to figure out how it can become sunrise at 3 o'clock in the morning. But now comes a mighty red curtain down from the sky around our 300 men and beats back that human wave attack. Sounds strange, but somebody took a picture of that from 10 miles away. This is what the picture looked like. Up here is a C-47 airplane. This is circling a mile circle here, flying on its side with its machine guns aiming down to the ground. Here in this cone of safety are 300 men desperately fighting for their lives. November 13, 1969. Long story short, by 6 o'clock in the morning, most of our 300 are still alive. But I'm laying there on all of those bullets, 1 million of them ricocheting everywhere. And I said, thank you, Lord, for Psalm 118, verse 17. When I get back to America, I'm going to look up each of those 8 men in that C-47 in Puff the Magic Dragon and thanked them for their accurate shooting. But when I came back from Vietnam, I had lost 514 of my men out of the 5th Infantry Division and over 3,000 wounded. And I just wanted to forget about war and try to for 45 years until I got this picture. I'm driving in western South Dakota on a routine business trip, and I see a sign out of the corner of my eye that says Vietnam Aircraft Museum ahead. God reminded me of my promise I had made laying in all of these bullets, and I said, well, the men won't be there, but I'll go in, I'll kiss Puff the Magic Dragon's tire. As I come up to Puff, here's a man sitting on the steps with a Vietnam hat on like this. I said, what did you do in Vietnam? He said, I was the gunner on this Puff. He was one of the 8 guys who was up there that night 45 years earlier that God sent to save our 300 men. Is not God awesome? Psalm 118 verse 17 was still true 45 years later, and while I'd almost forgotten, God had not.
Well, as the harbinger of truth and as a fighter for freedom, thank you for your service. Welcome home, and thank you for standing up for the rights that we're still fighting for today. So thank you very much. This is Mr. Van Beek, an Army veteran, and we all owe him a debt. So thank you very much for your story, and